Hey friend, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Listen, if this is your first time here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews and recaps of some of my favorite TV shows and movies. So if this is something that interests you, consider sticking around. I have a lot more content coming to my channel, and I'm glad you're here. So with that being said, let's get into it, y'all. All right, today we are here to talk The Shy. This is season 7, episode 9. This one was called Last Respects. And y'all, I'm telling you, this one had me all over the place. I knew that this episode was going to be emotional because of what happened before with Emmett getting shot. So let's just go ahead and get into it, and then I'll talk my feelings throughout the review. Let's go, y'all. All right, y'all. I was trying to figure out the best way to do this review and this recap for this episode. I'll be honest, this wasn't my favorite episode. This was probably my least favorite of the season so far. So I think what I'm going to do is just talk about what stuck out to me. So the first thing I want to say is please stop introducing new characters. Like this episode, we got at least three new characters that were introduced, and I am exhausted. I cannot keep up with the characters. There's no need to keep introducing characters. We are at episode 9. I did hear that this season it's going to be more than 10 episodes. Okay, that's fine. But even with that being said, you've introduced three new people that we may or may not be interested in. I know they're going to be in supporting roles, but still, it's just a lot at this point. Now let's talk about what happened. Now we remember from the episode before where Emmett had busted in. It was putting them paws on Reg, right? And it seemed like he was getting the best of them. So what does Reg do? Pulls out his thing and blast on him, right? So now he's laid out, bleeding out, and all of a sudden, this episode, we see Hannibal in there, dragging him to the hospital. So I'm like, well, first of all, I know Hannibal wasn't in there when Emmett came in the house. How did he get there? And how far does he stay from Reg? Because I think in a perfect world, he probably would have bled out on the floor by the time it would have took him. Like, and I understand why Reg didn't call the ambulance. He decided to call Hannibal. He's supposed to be dead, and he's trying to lay low. But man, you have a grown man. Well, I'm not even going to say that because he also stepped over Jamal with the Do the Right Thing episode and went in the house and ate his smoky. So, he don't really have no regard for human life like that anyway. But anyway, Hannibal takes him and gets him to the hospital. Next thing you know, we see Jada and Darnell and Keisha and Tiff and Damien. They're all at the hospital and they want to know how he's doing. They want to get back there so they can see him. The nurse is like, "Are you family? Are you family? Are you his wife? Are you his wife?" And nobody can go in except for the family. Finally, Jada's like, "Look, I'm his mom, dad, brother, and we're going back there." So we see him, and it seems like, he's in a coma or he's just out of it, whatever it is that's going on with Emmett, but he is still with us. We got everybody and their mama at the hospital, right? We see Rashad is there, Vic is there with Tiff. He got his arms all around her, and I'm like, did y'all announce this? Did y'all make this official? I mean, we not even trying to play it down at the hospital. And let's still keep in mind the reason why Emmett got drunk in the first place. I mean, nobody's even talking about that. Nobody. So I'm trying to figure that. I want that to come up. Please don't just brush that off because he got shot. Because Keisha, that needs to be addressed. And I know that he proposed to you this episode. Soon as he wakes up, he's like, "Will you marry me?" I mean, definitely not romantic. Definitely not anything I would want. I do not want you to propose to me while you're on your deathbed, and the Lord has spared you another day. Mm-mm. No, that's okay. I want to be proposed to with healthy hearts and healthy minds. But this is how we're starting the episode off. Let's see what else happens. All right, y'all, let's start with Damien. So we know that Damien is on his apology tour this episode, right? He has caused all of this confusion and turmoil, and now he is so full of regret to know he's sorry. So Darnell finds out that the reason why Emmett's in the hospital was because of him and his gambling. And he's like, "Listen, man, if you can't get it together, you're not going to be welcome around here. Like, you will no longer be a part of the family. I don't know how I felt about that. I mean, that is your son, and he is sick. He does have a gambling addiction, and this is an addiction that is just like drugs or alcohol, or any of the other addictions that people face. So sometimes as family members we do have to show tough love and get them the help that they need, but they gotta want it. And I do agree on that one hand, like, I've already taken you to the meetings, you didn't take it seriously, you ended up smashing some random in the bathroom stall, and now my son is fighting for his life because of you and your stupid decisions. So something gotta give at one point. He does have a conversation. Well, he does tell his daddy that he is going to stop and he's done. He also had a conversation with Keisha where he apologized to her, and she was like, "You need to be apologizing to Emmitt." And he was like, "I didn't tell Emmitt to go over there and fight him." Oh my God, the way I wanted to reach through the screen when he said that, because that means he is not taking any accountability for his part in this. None of this would have happened had he not made the bet. However, Emmett was drinking because he was feeling some kind of way about Tiff and Vic. So, but he should be held accountable for at least 70% of what happened to Emmett. And for him to say, oh, he didn't tell him to go over there and do it. Oh, okay. So I see what kind of time Damien is on. He also reaches out to Carucci's character, the one that he did smash in the bathroom a couple episodes ago, I think it was, or maybe last episode. um, I'm not sure. I can't remember if he got in touch with her or not, but we don't really need to see her anymore. We really don't. And my thing is, why are you reaching out to her? You don't even know her. You need to be focusing on yourself. Get back into your meetings, forget about all that other stuff, and just focus on your family and getting better. So, Damien, I really hope that you get some help. And if we don't see you next season, I will not be mad. I will not. I promise I won't be mad, Damien. All right, y'all. So back at the hospital, we see Nook. I'm not sure why Nook is there, but anyway, he asks Keisha what happened. Keisha lets him know that Emmett got upset because Damien came home and went over there and fought Reg and then got shot. So he rolls up on Jake, yanks him up. Why he's yanking him up, I don't know. I really wish people would stop like yanking up on my boy Jake. Like, leave Jake alone. Anyway, Jake tells him that he hangs out with Hannibal. So Nuck goes over, has a conversation with Hannibal, and it's like, yo, man, if you know anything about Hannibal, I need you to let me know. So Hannibal's down for it. He was even like, listen, he's probably going to be looking for a place to stay. And we're introduced to Kyla Pratt because she's Hannibal's wife. And she was just like, look, he ain't staying in here. And if he stays in here, you're going to be sleeping on the couch. Hannibal's like, I ain't trying to mess up a happy home, honey. We can't have that, and he can't stay here. So they're trying to figure out where he's staying. So Hannibal begins like texting Reg, like, what's up? Because what happened was Vic and Jake decided that they are done with Reg. So they went back to the house, kicked him out, told him, look, we're done. You're on your own. The Brotherhood is done. Good luck to you. See ya, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. So that's it on that. So he's reaching out to him like, yo, man, where you at? You good or whatever? Just kind of. And Reg is playing it cool at first. He's just like, I'm out here. What's it to you or whatever. And so he does end up getting the address of to where he was staying, and he does send that address to Nook, who sends the address to Detective Toussaint. Next thing you know, we see the detective out there outside of the spot that he's staying, which is what's his face, his girlfriend. I can't think. Reagan Gomez. I think that's her character. Remember a couple episodes ago, he had rolled in there and was like kind of just took her away from oh boy, and I can't think of his name either. I'm so bad with names. But anyway, y'all know I'm talking about Reagan Gomez. So now he's over there with her. So Hannibal gave that address to Nook, and Nook gave that address to Detective Toussaint, and Detective Toussaint is out there taking pictures of Reg. Now, also over there at Reagan Gomez's spot is uh, Jackie Long's character, Keith. Is Keith. because remember he got fired from Smokey's, and that's her cousin. So we got Keith out of there. We know that Keith just got out of jail, and so it seems like Reg and Keith were like, best buds. And so Keith is talking to him, and Keith lets him know that he's got a shooter, that can help him out and protect him, because right now Reg doesn't have any protection, because his brother's turned his back on him, and everybody's probably looking for him now, depending on what's going to happen with Emmitt. And so we're introduced to another person. Did not get her name either. She looks very scary, very. And when I was watching this episode, I was like, this girl right here, she looks like she's not acting at all. Like she looked like she about that life for real, for real. I mean, they were talking. She was playing a video game, and she was, knocking them down on a video game, some kind of violent game. And then she was like, "Stop talking about me like I'm not in the room." I was like, good grief. Like, I'm even a little like, whoa, like this chick don't play. Anyway, Reg likes her energy, so he decides to hire her. So I guess it's going to be her and Reg, to protect him from these streets. So we'll see what happens there. But we do know that the good detective knows where he's at. So I'm thinking, okay, Detective Toussaint, you know where he's at. Next episode, we need to be having squad cars around Reagan Gomez's spot. Well, let's see what happens. All right, y'all, let's talk about a few of the conversations that were had this episode that I just want to touch on real quick. The first one is Dom and Jamal. Now, we remember from last episode, it was discovered that Jamal does want to have kids, Dom doesn't want to have kids. They're both at the hospital. Now, in the light of Emmett getting hurt and everything, he's just like, well, if something does happen to Emmett, at least he will have his legacy to fall back on, to continue out the family name. And so once again, they were so busy and ready to hop in the sack that they didn't have a conversation about, do you want to have kids, or do you want? So now that they're married, it's like, well, Dom don't want to have kids, but he does. So we find out that legacy is very important to them. They decide that they're going to go to therapy. And so they get to therapy, the questions are asked, and it's going to be a long road for them too, I think. But at least Dom did say, all right, let's go to therapy, because we also saw the last episode, she was like, she didn't want to have kids at all. So we'll see what happens there. Not really invested in this storyline, but here we are. Also, let's talk about Vic and Tiff. Now, like I said, everybody was at the hospital. Vic sitting up there, he got his arm around Tiff, like that's his girl or whatever the case may be. And I guess it is. They did go on the one, went to the one show last episode and everything, but I didn't know it was, oh, everybody knows, because he's in there with his arm around her, and, and I'm sure comforting her, of course, but it just, I don't know, it just seemed a little weird that it really wasn't discussed a little bit more about their relationship or whatever, but it seemed that they were a little close. Anyway, I guess Tiff finds out that Reg is alive. She is asking Vic, why didn't you tell me that your brother was alive? And I'm like, why are you invested in whether or not Reg is alive or not? Like, I just didn't think that that was something that he should have let off with. Oh, by the way, let me just make sure I tell you this before we even get started. But my brother's alive. And so, Vic is like, well, I didn't know. I didn't want to tell anybody that, and he's out of our lives. Because what happened was they're at, Jake and Vic has decided that they're gonna just cut ties with Reg, right? And so we got Rashad out there talking about how y'all gonna just cut ties with him. He's blood. I'm like, shut up, Rashad, and go find something to do. Go over to Alicia's house. Like, that was just ridiculous. It's time for them to cut ties. Like, how many more people need to get hurt? You know, kick Jake out of his apartment. All you're doing all day is just sitting up in there just causing havoc and smoking weed. Like, we're done. We're done with Reg. And so they go over there and they tell, Reg, hey man, pack your stuff, you gotta go. And of course he rolled up on me. He rolled up on me. I do kind of get it, Reg. He did roll up on you, but you did not have to shoot him. All you had to do was fight him back. He did not have a strap. He didn't have nothing. He was just, throwing them paws on you, and you couldn't handle it. So you decided to, pull out a weapon. So here we are. All you had to do was just take the butt kicking, or fight back. I don't know, but he was not going to unalive you. I don't think that Emmett was going to do that. He just went over there in the heat of the moment because of what happened with Damien and Tiffany. Let's not forget about her. And that's what happened. You did not have to do that. And that's what Jake said to him. But, he's just like, all right, y'all just gonna turn y'all back on me. Yep, you gotta go. So he's no longer there. And that's what he was trying to explain to Tiff. Anyway, Tiff's just like, listen, I need some time. And she gets up and she walks off. And I'm like, I'm hoping you're gonna go get baby EJ. Please go get him while you're walking off since you need some time. Also, let's talk about the fact that Alicia was also at the hospital and she was talking to Tiff about a will and asking her if she had one. She was like, "No, I don't have a will." So she sets it up with her lawyer to, get everything rolling in the event that something happens to protect the grandson. It's a lot, and Tiffany is just kind of overwhelmed with all of it. But it sounded like if something happens to Alicia, then she gets the estate. She gets Alicia's estate. And I'm like, well, good Lord, she's just falling ass backwards into just like good stuff, right? Like, really? Is that what's going to happen to Tiff? Because I really feel like something may or may not happen to Alicia. I don't know. There's a reason why they're bringing this lawyer and this will stuff up. Either something's going to happen or something's going to happen to Tiffany. I'm not sure. Or the grandbaby, I don't know, is something. I think I just feel it. Something's going to happen. I hope that nothing happens with her during her delivery of this baby or the baby or anything like that. I don't wish anything like that. All I want Tiffany to do is just go get EJ from Keisha and Emmett. Just go get him, and then I'll stop talking about her. But those were the conversations that I kind of wanted to hit on. Let's talk about the pastor down to the church. All right, y'all. And lastly, let's talk about Kenya. So, Kenya, you guys know, is the pastor's daughter. She's back at home. She's living with her mom. And we find out that she has Zay's gun, right? Because when I guess when he was still alive, he showed her the gun and she liked it. She has it for protection. We also find out that she is depressed. And now the pastor wants, to keep a close eye on her. So he's like, listen, you're going to come with me to church tonight, and I've already talked about the sermon that the pastor gave at Papa's daddy's church. We also see that Pastor Charles is also there. So I figured that he did follow him over there. That was interesting to see because I thought that, maybe Pastor Charles would stay and maybe take over the congregation of the other church. But he didn't. So another reason why Sarah decided to leave was because she was saying that that church wasn't big enough. But you got to start somewhere. So I'm sure the pastor in time will build up his congregation because it seemed like the people were, they were picking up what he was putting down when he was doing his sermon. So, he'll probably grow another audience, another congregation, rather quickly with the help of Papa, of course. So we'll see what happens there. But Kenya does have a weapon that is Zay's. Now the question is, does that weapon have any bodies on it? We don't want little Kenya to be in any kind of trouble. She's got a little baby and everything, but that may come back to bite her. Also, we find out, and I forgot to mention this, that Nook confessed to the pastor that he was the one that took out Duda. So he is confessing a whole lot to the pastor. Like every time he does something, he going to the pastor, and it's just like he's confessing his sins. There's a reason why this is happening. I feel like something is going to happen to Nook with him doing all this confession, to the pastor. I don't know. I do trust the pastor. I don't think that he's gonna, do anything to give him up or anything like that. But he just knows all of his secrets. And I'm not gonna say let's hope it doesn't come back to bite him because he needs to go away as well. But we got to have somebody. We got to have some kind of villain on the show. But let me tell you, that one that's working with Reg right now, I'm scared of her, y'all. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, that was The Shy. It was a little bit different than the way I usually do it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Um, and hopefully next episode will be a little bit more entertaining and a little bit more fun. But like I said, Emmett did wake up from, being shot. Everybody was around. He was asking for Keisha. Damon went to go get him. And then, he was like, will you marry me? She didn't answer. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Keisha has enough sense to say, let's talk about why you're here, why you're in the hospital, what really got your emotions all spun up. Do you still have feelings for Tiffany? But y'all let me know what you thought about it. Let me know what you think about that whole dynamic with the Emmett, Tiffany, and Keisha situation. Let me know what y'all think about Reg and Detective Toussaint. Do you think it's going to come back on Nook that he is working with the cops? I mean, and Hannibal. because I don't really feel safe about Hannibal, and I hope nothing don't happen to Hannibal because I love Hannibal. He's probably one of my favorite characters on the show. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you heard today. And I will see y'all the next time we do it. All right. Bye.